You're listening to the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
When I'm driving, I got a guy on the radio who talks to me. I can't see him, but he talks to me.
On 97.3 ESPN.
I'm that guy, and he's that guy. Weekday mornings 10 to 12. Greeny, Get Up, NFL Countdown, the NFL Draft, and now, for a second time, got this text message when I got to work today, Josh. It says, looking forward to the Greeny interview. I'm excited for his new book. On the way to me right now. Got Your Number was such a great book. My grandfather and I like to pick a random number and learn something new each time. It's great being able to hear stories about some of the athletes. Please send Greeny a thanks from me, a fan, David in Vineland. Well, David in Vineland, I'm telling Greeny now that you appreciate that book and his new book, Got Your Answers. The 100 Greatest Sports Arguments are settled. It came out yesterday. It's on Amazon. And, man, Greeny, sports arguments in Philly. You could write a book about sports arguments in the city of Philadelphia and make a mint. How are you?
We probably could. I'm good. David in Vineland, thank you very much for the kind words. I appreciate it, and it is nice to be on with you again. And we are thrilled to be back with this book. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I know the 100 Greatest Sports Arguments settled. One argument here that has gone on for days is Nick Sirianni going for it on fourth down, not 1 week, but 2 weeks in a row. Where should NFL Eagles fans sit on that argument?
He's ice cold, right? I mean, there's no other way to put it. Sometimes coaches get hot, and in this case, he is the opposite of hot. He is as ice cold as a coach could possibly be on those decisions. That said, here was my take on this earlier this week on TV. Nick Sirianni does not do himself any favors when he talks to the media because he's not good at it. He's not a very good communicator, or at least not in that way. As I sometimes say, he doesn't say words very well. However, I think this past week was a monster win and performance and almost vote of confidence for Nick Sirianni, whatever the in-game stuff was or wasn't. And I thought he got the end of the Atlanta game completely wrong, and obviously the end of the first half of this game wrong, and whatever else. This was a team that I think, at least from the national perspective, after the way they just completely came unraveled last year, I think after the way they lost that game to Atlanta, there were a lot of people, myself included, watching to see if they would come together and rise up and play tough. And that was a bad matchup for their defense, or at least it looked like it would be. They were getting no pressure on the quarterback, and Derek Carr leading into that game had been the least pressured quarterback in the league. And that team didn't allow a touchdown until the fourth quarter. The defense played great. I thought that was a real – let's put it this way. If they had gotten obliterated in that game, we would have said this team has quit on Sirianni. So for them to fight the way they very obviously fought and to find a way at the end the way they did, I think it would be unfair not to say the opposite, not to say that at least for this day it seemed like they came together and rallied around their embattled coach. So it doesn't mean that he's not going to remain embattled, but I think generally speaking, I think the division sets up very well for them. I think Dallas stinks. I don't think Washington is that good, and I don't think the Giants are that good. So I think that the Eagles have a little bit of a cushion to work with, and I think that all things considered, we'd have to say last week was a very good week for Coach Sirianni.
So Get Up, NFL Countdown, Greeny on the radio, and obviously many other things you have had in your time. Where do you think, you got coaches, former players. We've had former players, we asked them, they love when the coach is aggressive. Then you got former coaches. You can't do that. Is this just one of those things that there is no right answer in today's game? Because it's so interesting, Greeny, that Atlanta won the game against Philadelphia in part because Philly couldn't convert on fourth down. What did Atlanta do the very next week? They tried to go for it on fourth down. They left 6 points on the board. They lost by 5. Is the game changing, and do the players like the fact that these coaches allow them and put the trust in them?
I think so. Those are two separate questions. I think the offensive players always want to go for it. The answer to your question, is there a right or wrong way, is yes, at least to some degree. There are analytics that tell you, historically speaking, if your chances of success in this case are 58% and your chances of success in this case are 51%, and logic suggests you should take the 58 every time. However, All of those come down to, if you played this scenario out 1,000 times, here's how often it would work one way, here's how often it works the other. And each individual game is sort of like its own individual lifetime. So a good coach, I think, has to have a feel for how the game is going, how the unit, whether it's his offense or defense or his quarterback or whatever the case is functioning. There are a lot of factors that I think skew the analytics. But when in doubt, and one of the reasons I think coaches are prone to use analytics is because if something goes wrong, they always have that to fall back on. They can always say the numbers. Hey, if you get second guessed, you make a decision that the analytics defend and it doesn't work, and if you get second guessed in the press conference, you can always say, "Excuse me, you idiot, but the numbers tell me that the way I did it gave me a 61% chance of winning, and the other way would have been 41%." And I think a lot of coaches do that for that reason, because I think a lot of coaches they coach with at least one eye on not getting fired. And so it isn't as simple as you just do what the analytics dictate. But there are, of course, and I'm not telling you anything you don't know, there are analytics that do give you at least an indication of which way one should lean. And if you were to do it 1,000 times, you should do it that way. I always use the blackjack analogy. You know, if you have 18 and the dealer has 6, you can hit. And every once in a while you'll win. But that doesn't mean you did the right thing.
Right.
So, and this is probably a particularly good analogy in Atlantic City.
Right.
So that's what I would say. I think more often than not, coaches do and should fall back on the analytics because more often than not, they're going to be right.
Well, and they're aided by the fact that Monday Night Football is also putting the analytics big green go on the screen on fourth downs. You know, hey, they're telling you to go for it now. That's helping some of these coaches out. Hasn't out Sirianni out, but the team is still 2-1. But Greeny, the league seems drunk. It seems like it's crazy. You got 3-0 teams that no one believes in. You got 0-3 teams that people want to believe in. You've got 1-2 teams that are in the mix. You got 2-1 teams that no one knows anything about. This is football in 2024.
Yeah, and God bless it. I mean, it is just endlessly fascinating. Look, to me, the overriding storyline or the through line of all the things you just said is that with the way the league is structured right now, there has never been a greater premium on elite coaching. Look what Matt LaFleur is doing in Green Bay with Malik Willis. Look at what Kevin O'Connell and Brian Flores are doing in Minnesota with that defense and with Sam Darnold. Look at what Clint Kubiak, this past week notwithstanding, has done to an offense that barely changed personnel in New Orleans. The value of great coaching. Look what the Steelers have done with Justin Fields. I think the thread of commonality amongst all the teams in the NFL is that look at the coach, look at the coaching, and far more often than not, sort of like analytics, then you're going to find out how good the team is. Of course, the players are the most important thing. No coach is going to win with bad players. But I think the difference between the most talented team in the league and the least talented team in the league is so narrow, more so than it's ever been before, that I think that there has never been a time in any sport where coaching was more valuable than it is in the NFL right this minute.
Greeny is, of course, 10 to noon right here on 97.3 ESPN. Get up, 8 o'clock in the morning on ESPN. And, of course, NFL Countdown. You can check them out Sunday mornings. The book has got your answers. The 100 Great Sports Arguments Settled. By the way, Colin LBI is a big Jets fan. He says, Greeny is on. Forget the Eagles talk. Let's go, Jets. We do have a couple Jets people at the top half of our signal up there in Long Beach Island area. But, Greeny, your favorite argument that you and Hembo had to settle?
Well, there are so many. So what the book is basically is we identified what we think are the top 100 sports debates, the top things that people love, sports fans on shows like this one love to debate. And then we used Hembo's extraordinary research to settle them once and for all. So you can open to any page, which I just did. I just opened to this page. Who were the top 10 number one overall picks in the common draft era? We took all the sports and put them together. So it is not the number one basketball or football or baseball or hockey, but all of the sports combined. Who was the best player ever to be selected number one overall in the draft in all four of those sports combined? We rank them 1 through 10. Who would you put at number 1?
Gotta go LeBron, right?
LeBron is number 1. As I write in the chapter, ultimately LeBron receives the edge for having surpassed Kareem as the all-time leading scorer. It has always been my contention that Abdul-Jabbar was the most accomplished basketball player that ever lived, but I can no longer defend that position. LeBron has earned his place atop the entire history of the sport. We have Kareem 2. We have Mario Lemieux 3.
Ooh.
We have Magic Johnson 4. Alex Ovechkin 5. A-Rod 6, and that was a tough one, because if it wasn't for the cheating, he would have been higher. Peyton Manning 7, Ken Griffey Jr. 8, John Elway 9, and Guy Lafleur 10. So that's not my favorite. That's literally just the one I opened it to. And there are the arguments debate from everything from what are the top 10 best pitches in baseball history. I'm literally just opening to a page. What are the top 10 signature moves in basketball history? Who are the top 10 shooters in basketball history? And it just goes on. We have 100 of them. There are 100 sneaky Hembo questions to accompany each of them. And the other thing that I would mention about it is the book we did a year and a half ago, one of the things people told us was it was really expensive, which it was. We didn't have control over how much the publisher charged for it, but it was more than we wanted. So this time we insisted that the book be $15. So the book is $14.95. They're actually doing a special price on it right now on Amazon. So if you order it on Amazon right now, it is called Got Your Answers. You will get 10% off the already low price, which we asked for, of $14.95. So I couldn't be more thrilled with some of the reaction that I'm starting to see already. The book just came out yesterday. And if you have any thoughts on it, if you have any debate you want to engage in over some of the topics, please tweet at me using the hashtag Got Your Answers. Ask a question, make a declarative statement, and Hembo and I will be writing back to as many as we can.
Well, we appreciate it. Got Your Answers. Yes, I'm on the Amazon. It's $13.49 for the hardcover, $9.99 on the Kindle. People are asking on the text board, is there an audio version? Do you know that yet?
There is not yet. No, there probably will be, but there is not yet.
All right.
By the way, an audio version of Got Your Number from last year, which we read. We have not done an audio version for this one yet.
We do have we appreciate it. I know you got to run. We got a ton of people texting in, really enjoying the conversation. Go check out the book. Bring it to the beach. It's a great time to sit on the beach, September, October at the Jersey Shore. Mike Greenberg, weekday mornings at 10 right here on 97.3 ESPN. Wake up with him on Get Up. And Sunday, check him out on NFL Countdown, the NFL Draft, the new podcast with Mel is fantastic. Greeny, always appreciate it, man.
Well, it's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
All right, Mike Greenberg, everybody, here on the Sports Bash, 97.3 ESPN.